So it's going. We're not sure. All right, we're live, man.
All right,
live to the world. So, so thanks for coming on. I know you're a newcomer to this.
Yeah, no worries. First podcast.
Well, not the first one to listen to.
No,
Yeah.
the first one to be on.
You're a master of the listen side of that.
Yeah. It's different when you're like on the other side.
I know, and it's live, so a little bit of pressure.
Yeah.
So if you sweat somewhere,
all right,
or
I'm
just
ready.
Use the dog. Use the dog's ears or something like. The okay, so is out first. Okay, so you do work for the fire department,
right?
And then we do have to say that anything you say explicitly is your personal view, and not a reflection of the city of Houston or the fire department or your precinct or anyone other than you and your entity.
I get it. Yeah.
So that's the disclaimer. Obviously, we got to throw that out there and get that out of there. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
Yeah. So first, I know you're a big Patriots fan. This is your first day out since the Super Bowl because you've been crying.
Yeah.
Took some sick leave and stuff like that. I know that, but
I was going for Philly. I respect.
Yeah.
I mean, what were they? 5-3 now, but they were
5-3 now.
They're 5-2 going in.
Yeah, 5-2 going in, and then the Belichick and Brady era, they're 5-3 now.
Yeah, that's still ridiculous, man.
Over 15 years. I'm like, that's so people are like, oh, you're upset because we're Patriots fans, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, dude, they make the Super Bowl over 50% of the years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
15. I'm like, yeah, that's insane. And as competitive as a league as it is, that's fun, man.
Would you look at the difference between the way that Philly celebrated and the way that New England celebrated?
We talked about that because it was just like, I was like, how are you going to riot and destroy shit when your team wins? Right? I'm just kind of like, and it's hard because you can't necessarily say, okay, well, Boston or even LA or these teams that win a lot,
right? And
of all the sports, because all the major sports, Boston, they've
right.
got a ton of championships. So it's just there's a different pedigree of fan. And so this is Philly's first time to win the Super Bowl. They've had, the Phillies have been good in baseball.
Right.
But so, they've had good everywhere else, but like a solid championship, this is big.
Right.
So everybody was drunk, and we saw how they acted with Minnesota, the 2 weeks before and things like this. So,
I think if they lost, it might have been the same.
I think it would have been worse if they lost. You know what I'm saying? Well, depending how they lost.
Right.
If that makes sense. Because I think what saved the writing with the Minnesota game is they beat the living crap out of Minnesota.
Right.
If it would have been a close game and got a lot of emotion involved like that, I think they would have tore the city apart then too, man.
And I was rooting for Case Keenum, man. He's been through a lot, man.
I'm not gonna lie. I was, I liked him. I liked Keenum when he was at University of Houston and the whole thing. And for him to come in and, how many teams? 5 teams? 4 or 5 teams?
Maybe 6, man.
He's been all over.
At least 5. At
right?
least 5.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, he's nothing, and he comes in and he lights it up for a season.
Right.
Almost the whole season. That was cool,
man.
And he really had one bad game.
No.
That was the bad game.
That was the bad game, man.
And I was like, poor kid, man. And then now we don't know what's going to happen because Bridgewater will be back, and they've got a mess in Minnesota.
Yeah. Well, I was interested to see what's going to happen with Nick Foles.
I'm a Nick Foles fan.
Yeah.
Before he was traded the first time from Philly, I'm like,
right.
he's going to be one of the quarterbacks ever.
Right.
And Steph and I had that conversation a lot. With a lot of people. And then the season he did bad and got traded off to the Rams. I'm like, I keep wanting to say LA St. I'm confused with the hell the Rams, but we'll just say Rams.
Right.
When he got traded off, it was kind of inconsequential because they had so many injuries. Their offensive line was tattered. They had coaching issues. They had all these issues, and they're like, oh, well, we got to get rid of our quarterback.
Right.
I'm like, what the hell is that about, But he made his way back, kicked ass, and the rumor is the Monday morning at 9 a.m., his agent was already shopping him.
That's going to be an easy sale.
Yeah, I'm Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
You're going to bench him, And then Philly's in a bind because now is Wentz fully going to recover?
Right.
We don't know.
So if Wentz next season and Foles flourishes.
It's like a Philly curse, man.
I don't know, man.
Because even like when McNabb was there, I liked McNabb. He was fun.
I like Donovan, man.
And then he got there against the Patriots in the Super Bowl and choked.
Yeah.
Dude, choked. And their running game kept them in it, and their defense kept them in it. And it was a close game. It was only a 3 or 4 point game or whatever. But I was just like, man, that's a Philly curse.
Every time I think about choking, I think about the Buffalo Bills going 4 times. I just can't. choking Buffalo Bills.
Poor Jim Kelly, man.
Jim Kelly can never do it, man.
You did. Oh, they had one of the worst beatings ever in Super Bowl history.
God, man.
That was against Dallas?
Nah, was it against Dallas?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. I just know he took a beat.
Like, yeah, it was ugly as hell. But yeah, that was yeah.
Jim Kelly, man.
Poor guys. Maybe Nick will go to the Bills and give him a chance, man.
Man, I like Buffalo, man. I like Buffalo.
I can't say we like them because they're in our division, so I gotta hate the shit out of them. I'm like,
I like Buffalo.
Hope they go down. But yeah.
Interesting tidbit. My is from Buffalo. So
okay.
I spent a little time in Buffalo. It's a good city.
It's a cool town.
Yeah, it's a cool town.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Why high-end athletes would want when you got other markets like L.A. and even
to be
Houston.
honest,
I mean, yeah,
it's kind of like an old school East Coast town.
Yeah,
it's real.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's real. Like it's kind of it's big, it's small.
And you're what, like an hour from the Canadian border? You're an hour from Toronto?
He actually is from Hamburg, which is maybe 10 minutes. I haven't been a long time, but it's right there.
Yeah.
And dude, Canada's clean.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, it is a beautiful country.
I think they're right next to Niagara Falls. Because you have the Buffalo side and you have the Canadian side.
Yeah.
So
you got, literally, because we drove it. This was several years ago, whatever. But we drove it from Buffalo. Yeah. And you just basically loop and go around, almost kind of right through it. And it's cool.
I like Buffalo, man. It was like, if you go to a restaurant, they're going to remember you every time you go. Yeah. I guess it's kind of like that in Boston too, huh?
Nooks of Boston, right? Like little bits and pieces of Boston. Boston's getting big, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were there 2 times last year for the games. Yeah, 2 games last year. And it looks like it looks like Sugarland. A lot of portions of it on that side of town kind of resemble Sugarland, how everything's there and the shopping centers, all that stuff. But it's hustling and bustling now, man.
I think I've been to Boston once.
Yeah.
But that was a long time ago. But isn't it set up like in, I wouldn't say boroughs because I don't know the proper name for it, but I thought it's set up like, if you live on this side of town.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like, I think Boston, everybody thinks of Good Will Hunting and Southie and all that.
Yeah.
That's what I think about. Yeah.
And that's kind of, but you get that.
Man.
Because it's the way when you look at it, it's kind of long and kind of thin. Right. Similar to people in Texas, how Austin is built. Right. How it's more of a long, thin and it's stretched out and stuff. But it's a cool town, man. Yeah. Then they Canada. Canada's got some crazy shit. You watch any of their politics?
No, I don't.
Okay, so they've got these new laws. I'm gonna butcher the right terminology for all of it because I always use the U.S. terminology and it's wrong. But with all the like identity politics and what you identify with and proper labeling and pronouns of whatever it is that so people can it's an actual crime if you identified as a woman and I said, hey man, that borders a crime in Canada now. In certain parts and provinces and things of that nature. Like it's getting that bad up there. Beautiful country. Like way cool country, but like I was like, holy cow. I was like, are you serious?
I think I'm offended by that. I was like, I think that offended me.
So my dad. So I'm a geneticist, right? Right. So and so obviously that leads me to be heavy in biology,
right?
And the craziest thing, and I'm blank on the actress that said it, actress or newscaster. This was about a year ago. That was basically saying there is being male and female is not black and white. There is a range. There's a spectrum and a range of being extreme female to extreme male, and there's gray in the air in the middle there. That your biology may be not correct with what your biology is. If you say that, I'm like, the hell is this crap? But so
that's crazy.
I know you had to be a little bit careful, but my deal is that if you are biologically a male, you're a male. You can go get 1 million surgeries, and you can take drugs to stop puberty, which they have some of these kids doing now, and you can do all of those things, and you can get breast implants, and you can do all the kind of stuff that you want to. To me, my personal view is that I respect the fact that you're confused and you have some psychological issues. Right. But if your biology is this, that's what you are. Yeah. But if it makes you happy to go cross-dress and to do these things, by all means, go do it. I'm not saying don't go do that, and I think you're lesser of a human being for doing it. But I'm just kind of like, you can't change. side note that'll tie this in. So my wife is pissed as hell at me because when our youngest was born, she misspelled his middle name. So we look over there. Watch out for knives flying. Yeah. And we can't officially change that on his birth certificate. But somebody that goes to get a sex change can officially change their sex on their birth certificate. I'm like, we can't fix a typo, but somebody can change their identity on it. That's confusing to me. I don't get that.
I didn't know that.
That's absurd.
News.
Now we could always go do an AKA.
You're right.
You know, and do that type of a name change. But as far as like altering the official document, can't do it, man.
That's crazy, man.
That's insane, man.
Huh.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of goes into that's my tie into the whole thing, is that I'm just how ridiculous it is. And again, I respect the fact that they want to do that, and that's cool, and go dress the way you want to dress and be what you want to be. But I mean,
but you can't have it both ways. Have it just about, just for them, but what about me? It's kind of like it's kind of like you're left out.
Yeah. And that's kind of I started trying to writing like 3-4 paragraphs every day or every couple of days or whatever. And one of those is that I find it impossible to be both the oppressed and the oppressor. Right. So it's, if you feel oppressed because you identify with the opposite sex of what your biology is and things of that nature, it makes it difficult for my mind to figure it out logically of how you can then go out and oppress someone else. Right. So if I see you coming to the gym, what's up, man? Yeah. Well, how can you get mad at that? Right. Yeah. Like, you're a big dude, you're clearly male, but if you identified as a female, you're going to be offended and then jump on me, and then I'm attacked and I'm the bad guy, and if it gets out on social media, I'm destroyed. Right. And I'm like, but I was just saying what's up.
Man, there's a lot of careers destroyed right now.
Gender stuff, and
there's a lot of people. I kind of feel bad because you don't really know if they did it or not, but they're automatically, you're done. Yeah. You're done.
Absolutely. And I think some of them, they did it. And, we have this discussion. I'm just kind of like, you know what? With some of the sexual abuse that comes out, like, I get it from a female's perspective. And I've learned a lot of this through the last year and a half of these things coming out in the Me Too movement, because I like to delve into it and figure it out. But female's perspective, and they're going to kill us because we're two guys talking on the thing. So if you want to jump in anytime you can, please. Thank you. That it's extremely difficult for a woman to come forward when they're sexually abused, sexually assaulted, anything in that nature, because they don't want their body and their sex life and their psychological well-being to be blasted all over everywhere for the next 18 months through legal proceedings. So I get it. That's extremely difficult and such. But one of the things we say is that if you wait 20, 25, 30 years.
And that's the thing. And
then you're like, okay, well, the person you're saying that about is just becoming to hit their pinnacle of their fame and their career. And then you come out and say it. It looks bad and it makes people question it. Yeah. It doesn't mean it didn't happen or did happen.
Right.
And then if you come forward and you don't have evidence, I'm like, you can't go back 30 years and get evidence. Yeah. But when guys are losing their career over these accusations, I'm like, man, and especially when it's political.
Right. And it's such a long time to wait. Yeah. It's almost like you waited for your stock to go up. And then, no, now that I'm rich, now I can say something.
Kind of, right?
I mean, that's what it seems like. I mean, I'm not saying that they didn't do it. Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure 75% of them did, maybe more. Yes. But, I mean, you just shun them, boom, you're done.
Well, and then do this. Here's also a reality that I hear a lot of people talking about. Back to, just say, 1980. Right. The laws were different. Right. People acted differently. Go watch any sitcom from 1980. Right. Right. The writers in today's time would lose their job and possibly go to jail.
Oh, yeah.
As far as how they played grab ass and this and that, and how they identified women and how they did all those things back then, as far as race and women and everything, and
I knew Matt Lauer did it.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking hate Matt Lauer. I knew he did it.
I feel pretty confident.
I'm pretty confident Matt Lauer did it. Yeah. Did you hear about the button in his room?
Well, okay, so I did, and then this is what I heard coming through is that very common for people newscasters across the board and all channels and all that to have that on their to have a lock button on their desk.
Really?
So it wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, he used it for wrong reasons.
Right.
But as far as having that button is super common. I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Either.
I didn't know that.
They all have it. It's super common.
Matt.
And
my bad.
Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, like he did it and he used that in very dirty ways.
Yeah.
You know, but
see, there you go. You only get half the story.
Yeah.
You know, he has this magical button and he could lock doors and he trapped people in there, but come to find out more than one person had a button.
Yeah. And a lot of times for the ones that actually are high enough in stature to have an assistant or secretary outside the door, outside of their office door, they have a button also for that same door.
Damn, man, you got your watchman.
So, well, because there's security reasons and there's stuff like you can't be, have private or confidential meetings. And I'm meeting with an anonymous source and you don't want somebody walking in on the anonymous source type situation. So, I mean, there's a lot of very valid reasons to have that deal. But
I think I enjoyed that one because the amount of hypocrisy that came from Matt Lauer.
Yeah.
Like, Donald Trump is disgusting. They're all disgusting. And
his reports of how Trump should go down because of his, grab her by the, comments and all this kind of stuff. And that, and he's the womanizer and all these things. And then he gets busted doing the same thing. I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Not funny for the women that had to go through it, but funny on the irony of him pointing the finger and then getting nailed, man.
I think that's a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them point the finger. But nothing's going to get done, I don't think, in the next, we have 3 years left?
Yeah, 3 years.
Dude, they're going to sit there and bullshit.
Nothing.
The whole time.
Yeah. Nothing.
They're just going to bullshit.
And that's, so, obviously I sent you a bunch of questions and all this kind of stuff. And one of the things, we'll talk Trump. Mm-hmm. One of the things is I was like, what's your opinion on Trump? And you're basically like him. I don't remember the exact deal, but like him because of certain things. What do you think the Trump effect is going to be with our politics?
What do you mean?
As far as you think it's going to change the way we elect people? You think it's going to change how our government politics works? Not necessarily government runs, because our government's, it's pretty well set up. But how it's going to affect policy, negotiations with things.
I think they underestimate Trump. I think because he won that anybody can do it, but they don't realize that guy grinded, man.
Yeah.
That dude was on tour.
Yeah.
He was doing 3 or 4 shows a day. That dude was grinding.
Yeah.
So,
in multiple states.
Yeah, multiple states.
He was all over the place. Yeah.
Maybe Hillary should have got it on her grind.
Yeah.
And she might have won if she would have hustled.
She had, as we know now, the DNC was on her side. The debates were on her side. The news channels were on her side. She did some very questionable things. I won't call them illegal because I don't have all the facts, but
but nobody's talking about it. Nobody will talk about the memo. Nobody. It's just whatever.
Yeah,
we'll talk about something else. So
put our memo out. I don't want to talk about your. Give us our memo. Like no, don't talk about your memo. I want ours. And I was like, oh man, and that's a big mess up there.
It's a huge mess.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they came to an agreement with the government shutdown deal. I know Nancy Pelosi was talking last night. For 8 hours, I heard.
Yeah, 8 hours. Today is the deadline, I think, right?
Yeah, it's either today or tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't, because I'm like, wait, what the hell is today? And I was like, but we're right on the cusp of it. Now I know that I saw a blurb this morning that said they were confident about, the Senate was confident about having an agreement.
Right.
So I'm going to say that they don't have it yet. And then that's one. So that's one. I'm gonna go political a little bit with some of these things. DACA and the Dreamers and all those types of deals. Let's just make a safe assumption. We're not talking about any of them that are criminals and drug dealers. Let's just say it's all people who were legitimately brought over as minors, and they don't, effectively, a lot of them don't have a home in Mexico, right? And that's let's take that. Mm-hmm. So the last one where I get confused is that there was 1.8 million Dreamers and people of DACA or whatever, however you want to categorize that were going to be given a path to citizenship, not prioritized, a regular path, and that could take up to 15 years, I think is what they said, which normal is 5 to 10 years. Right. So some of it could take longer, but they're safe, they're here, don't break any federal laws and, commit any felonies and you're fine, pay your taxes, you're great, and you're good. You basically get a pass. That was part of what Trump put in.
Right. I knew Trump signed off on that.
Yeah. And then he wanted $25 million for the wall. But not new wall, to do repairs and upgrade on the existing segments of walls and fences and things of that nature. And the Democrats said no. I don't understand that. I'm just kind of like, how does that? And and so some of the stories is we let in about 1 million immigrants per year,
right,
under our deal. So we're not going to reduce that, right? We're keeping that the same. We're just saying, hey, here's basic. I'm just around 2 million. There's 2 million dreamers. They get to stay. They get a path to citizenship. No fines, no records, no any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, you got to register, but you're safe and don't commit a felony, and you're here forever, and you'll be a citizen. Now they could speed it up if they go and they serve in the military. There's ways they could speed it up, but they're not given priority.
Right.
Awesome, fair.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't that solve it?
Yeah, but they never give Trump kudos for being fair.
Is it because
it's always it came from him? He lied, fake news, whatever.
It does. It's gotta,
Yeah. And you know what? They're gonna keep resisting.
Yeah.
But I did see some light. I was watching. I wasn't watching CNN. I was on YouTube, and I was watching Nancy Pelosi. She was on CNN, and it seemed like the mainstream media kind of turned on her. I forgot what he said, but she got up in arms. He was disagreeing with her.
Yeah.
I forgot what the topic was. I wish I knew the video, but he was disagreeing with her, and she said, "You don't know what you're talking about." And it's because I think she automatically assumes, and no matter what I say, they're on my side. Trump's evil. Yeah. You being conservative, you're evil. This, that, and other. And man, she was surprised, and she didn't take it, and she rolled her eyes and got mad. I thought she was gonna storm off.
Which she's done before.
I gotta find that snippet, man.
I know I need to go figure that out.
It was pretty good.
And she's getting in there, and this is a topic we cover a ton, is this whole concept of extreme tribalism. Mm-hmm. And tribalism to some degree is great, because we need that, as we, mature from kids to adolescence and on and through. We need tribalism because that's how we get our clicks, and that's how we test things out and learn things and all that stuff. So I don't want people to think that tribalism is bad. It's not. But what we're getting to is this extreme tribalism, that it's my team wins, and it's all about winning. It's not about the process. It's not about helping people. It's about the win.
Yeah, it's about the win and looking at what's right and what's wrong.
Right.
Or what makes sense and what doesn't. I'm just going to disagree with you because my team is this team, your team is that team, and
because you have an R next to your name, or you have a D next to your name.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, the hell
no.
didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Trump's. But a lot of these kids, a lot of these millennials that disagree with Trump can't name you one piece of policy. They don't know anything. They just know what they were told.
Yeah.
So and so told me this. I'm supposed to hate Trump, and now let's form this tribe. Let's hate Trump. And let's go do it. Let's go march. I don't know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
But let's go do it. But
and they and they kill. Now I'm gonna slide a little thing about Trump in there. Crazy shit.
Yeah.
He tweets some crazy shit. He does some things that really irritate me. And one of the things I like to watch segments of Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Is good Trump, bad Trump.
Yeah.
Like I love when he does that, because he kills him and then he praises him, in the same hand based on what he's doing. But it's that Trump is racist. I'm like, okay, wait a second. We just 2 days ago heard a deal in the news that someone leading one of his most profitable companies is a dreamer, is someone who is part of DACA. I'm like, he personally hired him. And then you have Martin Luther King Jr.'s grandchildren coming out praising him, and you have all of these things coming out, and and he was the first person to give a woman the job of lead architect and lead build for one of the high rises in New York, and one of his, and the whole thing. I'm just like, well, how does this? It doesn't equate, and I think what I fear when I say that, the reason saying that is I fear we're getting to the point that these words are meaningless now.
Right.
It's just like, you're a racist, so now you can't say anything, and I win.
Yeah.
And you're a bigot, so I win, and you're a homophobe, so I win.
Yeah.
And there's no.
I don't want to hear your point.
Right.
I don't care about your point. My point is you're a racist, and I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
And that's usually what it's about.
And I don't know. A lot of the things. Well, what's the correction? What's the solution?
Right.
And with something like that, is the only thing I see is very similar to, not to get into that discussion, but very similar to terrorism. It's a generational fix. We've got to start electing people at local level and smaller, local city and state level that are going to progress their way up, that aren't going to tolerate that crap.
Right.
And I think one good sign is you hit that on CNN. Both Fox, CNN, I mean, even MSNBC and all of them are starting to shift, and they still have their far-leaning broadcasts, but they're bringing some in that are more central.
Right.
And so they're spreading the diversity of their show, political diversity of their shows, which is nice.
I think what they're trying to do is go through the journalism process and just find out what's true and what's not. I mean, it's all you don't have to be on a side. You don't have to pick a side. Just it's true. Is he lying? Because before it was just Trump's evil. We're going against him. I don't care what he says. He's lying.
And everything was just
I mean, and you started to think, you were like, man, everybody can't feel this way.
Yeah.
So, you know what I did? If you ever go on the Yahoo stories, if you go to the Yahoo homepage and you see the top stories, and usually it's a Trump hate fest. But if you ever read those comments, there's more people that are like, this is ridiculous, than there's people that are clapping or applauding.
Yeah.
Shitty news coverage. So, I mean, I think it's propaganda. I think half of it is, at least.
I think so.
Or even maybe more, because it's just, I'm like, they can't believe these stories are printing. They just can't. It'll just be some bullshit. And you're like, is this really news?
Some people do, man.
Yeah.
Like you see that. I mean, I know you do. Go through, read some comments, read some Facebook posts and things of that nature, that it's just, Trump is evil. Trump's going to destroy us all. He's going to do all these, evil things. And, he released a lot of the, brought back a lot of the jobs in production for coal, and he keeps using the word clean coal, and everyone's like, there's no clean coal. It's all crap. And, and I'm not going to lie. I don't know enough about coal to speak intelligently on it. I just know that a shitload of people lost their jobs due to an awkward, I'm not going to say it's unlawful, but a very awkward expansion of natural parks and resources during the Obama administration.
Right.
That could have been the best thing for it. I have no idea. I don't know enough on it, but it was awkward. It was real weird and awkward, and a lot of people didn't like it, and it seemed real political. And so, Trump's coming in, and he's taking away a lot of that regulation and pissing, just getting it out. He's pissing a lot of people off. But even like the Keystone pipelines and all the stuff that seemed to make sense. And if something goes wrong with it, it will be very tragic. In the same way that if an oil tanker ruptures off of the coast, it's going to be tragic. I mean, we know that, but yeah, I think he's still trying to fulfill promises. Yeah.
And they just won't let him. They just, no matter what he does, and I'm just trying to bring jobs back. If it works, it doesn't, but let's just give it a try.
Yeah. And he has a lot of minor successes. Last few days, the market's taken a huge hit, and we've been looking for this correction for years. This is the longest we've gone any period of time since the Great Depression without a correction.
Right.
So, it's like people that were, the story is that in the world of business, people that are about 35 have never really experienced a down market.
Right.
And so they have no idea what it means. So they just constantly think of, oh, we'll just keep growing and keep growing and keep going. Oh, this is normal. We're just going to keep going. And there's a major correction that's going to happen any second.
Right.
And it won't be Trump's fault, and it won't be Obama's fault, and it's not going to be, Bush's fault before that. It's just
sometimes it's just the process. Yeah. Man. I mean, just the way things go. It's not nobody's fault. I notice when everything goes wrong in America, these days it's always Trump's fault. It's just Trump. Yeah. Let's just blame it. It's an easy target. It's easy. Target. It's easy.
Easy. It's some of targeting him is kind of fun because you target him, you get the tweets,
but
and
man,
you get the
I'm
stuff.
Starting to think that some of his tweets, I think it's strategic. Like you can't be serious. Yeah. I think he's trolling people.
Yes, I think so. I mean, well, obviously, some of me certainly is because he names them.
Yeah, right.
And he tags them, So of course, on those, he's trolling them. But yeah, dude, he's what I like about this whole political process with Trump is that he is he's shaking it up.
Yeah.
And he's brought a lot of light. Fake news. He labels everything fake news, and we know it's not all fake news, but he just throws it all out there because it makes people talk about it and brings it to light.
But do you guys think it's possible? Like, this man has been in the spotlight for 30 plus years?
Over 30 years,
over 30 years, right? Very successful businessman. We know that. Very, very smart. He surrounds himself with all the right people. He's running this country, right?
Right.
So he can't be stupid enough to go, let me just throw out some careless tweets. I think he's saying, this is how silly politics is.
Right.
Yes.
Right? I agree. Yeah. I agree.
This is how silly it is.
Yeah.
Look at you people and how you behave. Meanwhile, while this is bright and shiny up here, I'm improving the economy. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And you guys can just keep on
Yeah, I think he's trolling. He's like, watch this shit. Watch these people go up in arms. I'm gonna text this and watch. They're gonna fight like cats and dogs. It's like animals.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody disagrees and nobody. Yeah, I think it's stupid.
In some regards, I do think he's making a mockery of it.
Mm-hmm.
That he's just like, this is dumb as hell, and let me just show you how dumb it is.
Yeah.
That I'm gonna be a complete, total, absurd ass, and I'm gonna win the presidency.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna do a lot of good things for the country while being a complete absurd ass, and I'm gonna expose a whole bunch of. That's his whole drain the swamp thing. I think this is part of that.
Yeah.
Like he's just being a total. In some regards, a total idiot, although calculated, about his tweets and about all these things. Just expose it and let's see what changes.
Did you watch the? I think it was the State of the Union address.
Yeah.
Man, did you see how salty?
Yeah.
Man, people were salty, man.
And I loved how. I don't remember which channel it was. I think it was C-SPAN. I think that's the one that I had it on. I don't know because we have the PlayStation Vue TV now.
Right.
So I was just scrolling. It was just one of them. So I clicked it. I don't know what channel it was. But they kept showing a lot of Democrats and Pelosi was just like
my God,
chewing her face and
Did you see the one that was
not
playing
looking.
Candy Crush?
No, I didn't see that. I didn't see that.
Somebody was sitting there playing Candy Crush, and now all the memes that are so funny are, Pelosi, held everybody hostage on the floor for 8 hours for illegals, but she wouldn't even stand during the State of the Union to talk about veterans or citizens or, people's children that were killed by this gang. She wouldn't stand up for that. So I just thought that was funny.
That was
because it's all about me. It's not about the people.
But doesn't that show they don't care about the country?
They don't care.
It's about they're supposed to be representing you.
Yeah.
But they're sitting there like children.
Yeah.
And that's why
just because you don't get your way, you still have to. You still have to come together.
There's still wins in some of the things that he had done. And we're talking now. I'm excluding the last 2 days of the market because we don't know what the effects are going to be. But the quality of jobs are up. Number of jobs are up. Unemployment's down. Unemployment for minorities is way down.
Nobody clapped for that.
And quality of employment for minorities is up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, wait a second. Well,
I think he just should have threw anything in there like, and we're going to the moon again, and we're going to Mars, and they would still just, whatever.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing.
We hate you.
So that, I'd love to see that change.
Yeah.
And let's be real. When the last two addresses, State of the Union's addresses, the State of the Union's that President Obama gave, Republicans were salty too.
Yeah.
I don't know to that degree because those were on and I listened to them and I didn't watch them. So I honestly, I don't know how expressive they were or not. I know they didn't stand and they didn't applaud.
But you know what they did do? I remember watching those and like for what they voted on or for what agenda was important for them or to them, they stood up for it.
Okay.
They clapped and
so you still got some applause.
Yeah, you still got some. It's like, hey man, like you said, you gotta take a W when you can take a W, man.
Yeah.
You can't just be salty all the time because it's like having your kid is never gonna have his way the entire time.
No.
Sometimes you got to put your foot down and hey, sometimes things don't go your way.
Nobody bats 1,000.
No.
Nobody hits 100%. Nobody throws for 100.
Yeah. And they don't expect that. They're just acting childish.
Yeah.
You can't expect, even Obama, you can't expect him to do everything that you want him to do.
Yeah, it's impossible.
You're going to have differences with anyone. With my wife, we have differences and you work them out. And with your wife, I'm sure you have differences and you work them out.
No, I'm always right.
I'm always right.
This shit.
Yeah. Well,
or never. Whatever.
That,
yeah.
But you're never going to see eye to eye the entire time. Yeah. You're going to have differences, and that's what makes you and me.
Yeah.
It'd be boring.
Yeah. Well, this is take the opposing sides and the tribalism. It is psychologically and from a society and from a community and a country, it is extremely important that we have, I hate using the terms, but we have the right and we have the left.
Right.
It is extremely important. If everybody was right or everybody was left, our country would fail within 6 months. We have to have that for that balance. Yeah. Because I'm gonna way over compartmentalize right and left.
Right.
Let's say which we're gonna call the right, take fiscally. We're gonna take the right as extremely conservative and the extremely liberal left as far as with money, our federal money. The left wants tons of services and social services and pay for this and free college and all these things. And that sounds great and wonderful to people who don't necessarily know the entirety of economics.
Right.
So we need the right to come in and say, hey.
Yeah. You can't spend it all.
Cool ideas. Yeah. We don't have enough money to do it. So let's do this and let's bump here and let's,
right.
You got to have that balance. And it goes the same way, is that the conservatives will lock it all up.
Yeah.
And then, give too much back to the states and do some other bad things. So then we need the left to come in and say, hey, we got to take care of some people, man. These people are, being the more emotional side. And so coming around, it is extremely important that both sides exist to be able to have a country that works in a wave in the general center of extreme politics.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know, we're not doing a good job there.
No. It's a constant fight. It's a tug of war, and everybody wants all the rope, but
there's
yeah, man.
I'm sitting there watching it. I'm like, come on, you nuts, man.
I was thinking the other day, I was wondering how much the NFL was affected by the taking of the knee and all that stuff. I was wondering the other day, I said, I wonder how much money.
There's been estimates of 28% of their total revenue was lost. Now that includes merchandise, that includes ticket sales, and I mean that's a huge chunk. I mean that even includes like parking at stadiums and around, and so that's a huge deal. So the NFL itself as an entity, I've heard as low as 15 to 18%, and I've heard as high as just south of 30%.
Because I know a lot of guys I work with are big football fans. Yeah. This year they just didn't care to watch. I mean, I did. I didn't watch maybe as hard as I usually do.
Yeah.
Because there's some teams I didn't care for. My team wasn't doing good. Texans were sucking. I hate the Cowboys. The Texans weren't doing much, and your team is, you're kind of like, and your friends ain't watching it, so But they didn't watch it this year. Like I couldn't even talk about the game. They're like, maybe next year, man.
Yeah.
They were kind of turned off by it.
It hurt, man. That's a big deal. Is people get massively bent out of shape if you're on the social activist side.
Right.
If you say, oh, you shouldn't kneel, you shouldn't do these things. And I think it comes down to this. We know now, some of these things people didn't know before the season started. The government pays the NFL to do the national anthem before the games. Mm-hmm. So they receive money to get it. That's the same thing as a sponsor.
Right. And
the sponsor can require certain things. We learned last season or the season before when the headphones, because Brady was one of them. He wore the wrong headphones, that they weren't I think Bose was, I could get this wrong as far as the companies, but the concept is right. We'll call Bose is the NFL sponsor, but Brady came out wearing monster headphones. Yeah. I'm just using it for filler because I don't remember the exact particulars. So they forced Brady to wear the Bose headphones from then on out. Right? Because that was a sponsor. How is this different? Right? You're receiving sponsor money. The NFL, because these guys had individual contracts with other companies. Mm-hmm. And the NFL contract superseded. So the NFL is a contract with the government to do the national anthem. Then they should be able to, you have to stand. And if you don't want to stand and you disagree with that, maybe stay in the locker room. Yeah. Right? Don't bring attention to it. Right. Because you can always say, oh, I had to get my ankle tape more. I had to receive a little treatment before the game. I mean, there's a billion excuses you can give before coming out. And I'm all for social activism, and I think there's a right place and a right time. Right.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's a right place. And, I think people watch sports to get away from their boring, normal, everyday grind. And you watch sports, and you just want to watch a football game. Yeah. That's all I want to watch.
And it was a highly politically charged year.
Yeah.
And then that trickled into people's escapism of football, and it hurt.
Yeah. 30%. That's no chump change.
That's a big chunk of money, man. And then we'll see really this year coming around is how they renew the contracts and how that money actually starts to pan out.
I think you won't see it. I think these millennials and I think kids don't stick with it. Right. Like it's not trendy. It's not in anymore. That's not the hot thing to do. Yeah. Nah, I'm tired of taking.
There'll be something new.
Yeah, it'll be something new. They'll be sitting on their butts or something. I don't know.
That's actually probably true. Yeah. So do you think, and that's in your opinion, is that totally wrong. I get killed for it. What is your ethnic background?
My dad's from Louisiana, so I guess people from Louisiana, yeah. And my mom, is black. My mom's family is from Louisiana.
Okay,
so they are also like, but my mom is, I guess, my mom actually looks Indian. I remember she used to get that a lot when I was a kid. They used to ask her, "Are you Indian?" Because I had an Indian PD doctor, and she used to always tell her, "You look Indian."
Yeah,
all the time.
And we're Native American Indian, not India.
Indian. Like
Asian. Really?
India. Yeah. They used to always tell her that, and I think she did because she had long black hair. And,
yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. So taking that.
Right.
And we're going in and you're seeing all these things about inequality and the social justice things and all this kind of stuff. Is that because you grew up in Louisiana, right?
I grew up in Beaumont.
Okay.
Beaumont. It's the same. Everybody from Beaumont is from Louisiana. Everybody. I mean, you have Broussards.
Yeah.
Benoit, Chargois is my last name. Benoits, Thibodeaux.
Yeah.
I have a couple of Thibodeaux cousins. I have Benoit cousins. Everybody's that French last name. Now, interesting. That was my grandparents' first language, both of them, and
really?
On both sides.
Really?
Yeah, that's their first language. And they, what's funny is I used to ask my father, why don't you speak French? My grandma said,
yeah,
it was not allowed. They didn't want him doing it.
Really?
They said he used to beat it out of those kids. Yeah,
crazy.
They didn't want him. They thought it was kind of like being Italian.
Yeah,
on the East Coast. They didn't want those kids speaking Italian.
Yeah.
They thought it was like, beneath them. But, it wasn't. It's their, it's your culture, it's your language. But, yeah.
Because I know, the East, I know that very well, but I didn't know that was, dang.
Now, my wife is Egyptian.
Okay.
My wife's from Egypt, so she speaks Arabic.
Yeah.
But,
did you learn any? You're like, no.
Really
You can be honest.
Now, both my in-laws, they speak Arabic to me as if I understand, but I'm starting to. It's been 13, 14 years.
Oh, so you should,
I kind of
find the bathroom.
Yeah. I can do certain things.
Where's the bathroom? You're good. That's all.
Because I wanted my son to learn Arabic. I thought it'd be, it's always good to know a second language.
Yeah.
I thought, how many kids from, that have English and Arabic as two languages. So.
And then that's becoming, especially with the migration in, that's becoming pretty popular.
Right.
It's not really here in Houston too much yet, but
right.
as far as a lot of other parts of the country, it's growing, man.
Yeah. I wish Arabic's a hard language.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It doesn't cross relate.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't. Now she does say certain phrases to my son.
Okay.
Like pick up your shoes and
and he'll pick up on it.
Do your homework.
No, he won't pick up on that one.
No. I don't know what you're talking about, Mom. That's gibberish.
Yeah, that's. You
didn't even say it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but.
Okay, so did you experience a lot of what the assertions are as far as nationwide, as far as with the racism or with the inequality and with all that stuff? Because Beaumont's pretty.
Beaumont, not so much. Vidor and surrounding areas, Lumberton. Yeah. I remember growing up as a kid. What's funny is my grandfather was right. My grandfather was my dad when I grew up.
Okay.
He just he raised me.
Yeah.
And I was up. It was crazy is when I was. Even though I was younger than Luke, I was 7 or 8 years old. I'd wake up at 4:30 in the morning with him. I thought he was magical, man. He'd wake up at 4:30 every morning on the dot, 365. Rubber boots, ready to go.
Yeah.
And he had 6 rice dryers. He had a big farm. He had 2 combines, 5 or 6 tractors, backhoes. A lot of acreage.
Yeah.
But I was up at 4:30 even when I had to go to school every morning. It's probably why I'm so short. I should have went to sleep. I drink coffee. Whatever he would do, I would mimic him because I thought
that's
I was like,
awesome, man.
I guess when you're growing up and you look at a man, you're like, man, that's a man right there. He gets up at 4:30 every morning, comes back at 8:30 every night, and does it every day.
That's
and
insane.
Just grinds it. And I think he had like a 3rd grade education.
Yeah.
3rd or 4th grade. They couldn't. He had to help his father, and the women, the girls, were able to finish school, but the boys had to work. Yeah.
Okay.
The boys,
And a lot of that was common back then because the 3rd grade education was where you learned how to read and write.
Right.
And they're like, okay, now basically you got to go now.
And it was different in the 80s.
Yeah.
It was different growing up because we didn't have Hispanics in schools. It was white and black. And I remember we had I think we had maybe 1 or 2 Hispanic kids, and they spoke Spanish, and we thought that was crazy.
Yeah.
We were like, man, speak some of that stuff, man. It was crazy. But used to hear color was used a lot.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, they'd be like, oh yeah, that old colored boy over there. Like that was just common. Like now, if you said, man, you might get shot. But that was just that was a comment. But you know, not to say anything is right, but that's what they knew. I mean, nobody knew any better.
Yeah.
But Vidor was and I think I still have cousins that live in Vidor. I have my dad's side, all my cousins and stuff live in Vidor.
Sorry for people in Vidor if they're watching. I don't know if they have internet out there.
Yeah,
anyway,
Vidor.
So
I think they tried to. I think they tried to move minorities into Vidor, and it didn't work out. Now I can't speak on Vidor now. I don't know what's going on. This was a long time ago, but
30 years ago.
Yeah, but you had to go to Vidor. You really had to go to Vidor to go to, because I grew up kind of in the casinos. My family, Catholics, man. Tell you what, we stay at the horse track. I grew up at the horse track. I grew up at Delta Downs and
that's
Isle of Capri, and Coshada is actually new. There was no Golden Nugget.
Yeah,
it was just a few, and I remember when Coshada was built in Kinder, man, it was great. It was great because you actually had like a kid's place. They built a kid's place, and you would go there, and man, but I love it. I gotta stay away from gambling, man. I love it. I love blackjack.
It's in your blood.
Yeah, I love it.
That's because I like all the sports gambling. Let me put it that way. The other stuff is private games and things like that. I love, but like roulette and that, I'm not there. That's not my thing. But
roulette. I have an app on my phone. It's like Big Fish Casino. I'm on it. I think my kid downloaded it. He tried to play it a couple of times, and
I
then
you got suckered
with how many chips I had, and he was like, "Man, come on!" And I'm playing Call of Duty. So
Call of Duty will win over the
Call of Duty
games.
Your son looks just like you.
Oh yeah.
Basically just like you. What, as a father who grew up in a very different time, what do you tell him about racism, prejudice, how to deal with bullies? Like, what are some of those things that you
I think it's more or less bullies now.
Yeah.
It's not racism. There's, you know, and what's funny about these minority movements is, I mean, when's the last time you went to the ATM and you were looking over your shoulder for the Ku Klux Klan? I mean, you never, that doesn't happen. I mean, it's impossible. More power to you. It's hard to be a racist now because it's such a melting pot. I mean, you can't, good luck with that. That ain't gonna work. I mean, we're all mixed up now, and you have to deal with it, and that's just the way it is. I mean, my kid's Cajun and Egyptian. How does that even? Who would have ever thought of that? That's a recipe for
like how do you even?
Yeah, how do you even do that?
I got. Like, what are you?
Yeah.
What are you?
Yeah.
What are you?
Yeah. But I think it's more or less the bullies. It's more or less it's still the same things that we dealt with when I had my first pair of Jabot jeans, and I was buttoning them up, and it was a long button, the super long button, 6 buttons, and I had them on my New Kids on the Block shirt and all that. But it's the same thing. He wants everybody to know that he has, the best shoes, but he's a good kid.
What are the best shoes now?
Dude, man, you ought to hear. They know every freaking shoe, man.
Yeah.
He's like, those are the Jordan X9-3s, and those are the. I'm like, what?
And it's like there's just like a little stitch is different.
Yeah.
This shit. Who cares?
Yeah.
Just put your shoes on. Come on, man.
No, he's like my wife, and she loves that kid. She just bought him the James Hardens.
Okay. Adidas, right?
Yeah. Because he's sponsored by Adidas. Yeah, that's right.
Adidas,
huge contract, man. Like ridiculous, man. I want some of that James Harden money.
Yeah.
But some James Harden shoes, and they're just tennis shoes, man.
That's all.
I get my stuff on sale. You know what I told him the other day? I took him shopping, and I said, what's funny is he didn't want anything that's on sale. He wants all the shoes that are, and they look the same to me.
Yeah.
He didn't want anything that's on sale, man. I think it's kind of, I don't know. Maybe it's in his head.
I think that's how I mean, me growing up, we were penny pictures. It was like if it wasn't on sale, you ain't getting it. Like not even an option.
Yeah, I just, but my shoes, I wouldn't wear them. Like if I had a pair of, I had like 3 pairs of Jordans when I was a kid, and I got them for like Christmas.
Yeah,
and I would hide them.
Took care of them.
Yeah, I took care of them, and I had the Olympic Jordans, the number 9s.
Yeah.
And I hid them in the attic. Like I didn't want anybody to know, but I mean, you know, it's just shoes at the end of the day. But those kids, I mean, now that we're adults, we know that. But those kids, they just want to keep up with the next kid
because they don't know.
They don't know.
That's how they identify. That goes back to that tribalism. They're working that stuff out. Yeah. What's important, what's not. And
I mean, when you have so many commercials on buy this, buy that, and buy this, and this is important. But you know,
commercials. Who watches commercials anymore?
Yeah. Well, he still watch because my wife is. I think we have. We tend to watch the local news.
Okay. Yeah.
And she has to watch it she's been watching it. Excuse me. She's been watching it since she was a kid. ABC 13.
Yeah.
But she grew up with Dave Ward and Marvin Zindler and
Sludge Ice guy, whatever that
Slime
was.
and Ice Machine.
Yeah.
And when I moved to Houston, she got me into him. But she's been watching news for forever, man. So that's what she has to watch. So, you know, they have commercials. And usually on the local commercials, it's you know, the new Jordans or the new this, that, and other. But I try to tell him that stuff doesn't matter, man. Like, you know, it's hard to tell him because he's a kid. I want him to enjoy himself. Yeah. But I really try to just, you know, put a seed, you know, just plant it and say, hey, man, that's not real.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he doesn't care. He's like, shut up, Dad.
But it's cool. But it's the Jordans.
Yeah,
I'm like, do you know Jordan is?
Like,
yeah. You're like, come on, man.
Dad, aren't you tired? Go to sleep. Get out of here.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I mean, I'll go back to that because I agree with you. I think I'm gonna kind of expand on what you said. I do think it's difficult to be racist in today's time.
Yeah.
I also think in major cities, it's extremely difficult. Right. The larger the city and the more dense the population, it's just tough, you know. And I think this is a discussion that I had with a friend of mine not too long ago. Is I think we as a society are confusing prejudice with racism.
Right.
So there's a lot of prejudice that's going on.
Right.
And a lot of prejudice actions and things of that nature, but doesn't mean that it's racist. Because a lot of it is, I think, what I see here in Houston, I'm just going to take that, compartmentalize it, is that a lot of times there's situations that people act prejudiciously against a look. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's their race, that they're black or white or Asian or this, but there is a way they dress in conjunction with the race or how they act or how they speak or how they conduct themselves and body language and things of that nature that lead to it as opposed to something else. Because I've watched at local restaurants, literally not a couple weeks ago, at a table, all businessmen. Literally, this is gonna sound like a bad joke, dude. It's not, but it was an Indian, a black guy, an Asian, and a white guy, right? And the white guy was an old white-haired white dude. I mean, it was a perfect joke. Right. And then the table next to them was a group of younger kids, different races. Does that make sense? I think it was white, Hispanic, and a black kid.
Right.
But they were younger, very stereotypical ghetto look, acting a fool, the whole thing. And every single one of those guys, the professional people, were acting horribly insane, bad things about that group. Right. Okay, well, clearly it's not race. That would be a prejudice action. And I think that's what we're coming across now as opposed to the racism. And I think we're blurring those lines. And it's just so easy to say racist. Yeah. I think that's what's going on.
I think people, and I do it. Yeah. I mean, because when you're, I think people look for a certain class of people, and they look for a certain look, like you said, and they pass judgment. But sometimes, man, you get your judgment calls fucked up because you don't know people, and you don't know. I've made plenty of calls in the city of Houston, and the guy will be on the street acting crazy. Next thing you know, he's like, I live over here. He'll be in the street. Somebody pull over. I live over here. And it's, it's a $800,000 house in the Heights. and you're like, you just because, and I'm like, damn, I thought it was a bum.
Yeah,
because we got a lot of bums in Houston.
Yeah,
like that's a big deal. We got a lot of bums in Houston.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if there's any place for them to go. I know I kind of segued to that, but
yeah, there's not. Homelessness is that's a weird situation.
It's bad, man. I remember when I was working in the medical center, that was the majority of our calls was between the medical center and Midtown to downtown.
Okay, yeah.
And it'd be bums. And you know what? It's easy to say, oh, man, goes another fucking bum. But, man, you know, when it's cold outside, you know, it's, you just got to say, hey, man, you know, I think we're all one step away from being in a situation.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Because anything can happen, you know. So you try to, you know, you got to make the calls anyway.
Right.
You can't say, oh, man, I don't want to make this run. It's a bum. So you might as well make the best of it and just treat the person pretty good.
So one of the things, you know, always solution. What are the? I don't know the solution to that, but something that they're trying in a couple of states, in areas of certain states here in the U.S. because it's done in Europe and other parts of the world, is this basic universal income.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when I first heard it, I was like, that's the dumbest crap I've ever heard in my life. Basic, like who the fuck's gonna pay for that? And like, how is that going to affect markets? And how is that going to affect the value of the dollar? And how is it going to affect salaries and all? You know, like, what does all this mean? But if you take whatever city, Houston, if you can find a place, they're not good. Find a place $500-600 a month in rent. It's $100 for utilities.
And sometimes they're
$100 a week
inclusive.
for food. Yeah, you know. So you put that and you say, okay, $1,100 a month. If you gave $1,100 a month, they're that value in some shape, form, or fashion to everyone until you hit $150,000 a year or more, whatever those magic markers are, and then you're not qualified for that anymore. Would that help?
Well, you think about it like this: it cost, I don't know if it cost over $1,000 to transport you from here to the hospital,
right?
When you're on so it may help. I mean,
right.
You know, and we're not, you know, by any means transporting, you know, every bum downtown to Ben Taub.
Right.
You know, but I mean,
a good number.
I mean, I don't know if I heard Ben Shapiro talk about universal income or if I heard it on the Rogan podcast.
They both have.
Yeah.
So
I
think
of
those, yeah.
I think Rogan was, I think you were, and at first I was like, oh, here we go with this soft ass shit. But it actually, I was like, oh, well, maybe. I mean, you know, there's pros and cons to it. So.
Yeah. And that's the stuff that I don't know. Because, I mean, I'm an intelligent person. I can do math. I can figure things out. I know economics. I get all that. I know statistics. But then there's immeasurables like that.
Yeah.
Well, how much does it cost?
Right.
How much? Let's just take one of the homeless people. How much does it cost our society to deal with that homeless person for a year?
Okay. So put it like this. Every homeless person, I can guarantee you, every single homeless person in the city of Houston has been either to Memorial Hermann downtown, LBJ, St. Joe's, Ben Taub, Methodist, St. Luke's, Southeast, Houston Northwest. They've been to all those hospitals. And so you wonder, they go to the hospitals because they're cold. They go to hospitals because they're hungry. They go to hospitals because they don't have health care. You know, they have all these ailments.
Right.
So you wonder, you're like, that could actually save the system because they're not, you know, now I can't speak on everybody if they're going to pay or not, or if they have Medicare, or if they have a Gold Card. But, I mean, it's something to look at. I mean, it's not something to go, here we go with some more, because first thing I said was, it's more liberal bullshit. But I don't know. I don't know enough about it to even say that. So
yeah, and because obviously, you know, if you took a homeless person, okay, we're just going to increase your hygiene. We're going to give you a roof. We're going to control the temperature. You give you the ability to control the temperature, and you're going to be clean. Yeah, that's going to. I mean, their health is going to go through the roof.
Well, it's just like some of these little communities. I just see them that they're creating these like tiny home little communities.
Yeah,
I'm into tiny homes. Yeah, like I want one.
They make these little communities, and they have this central, you know, covered area where they can cook and gather and commune, and you know, so they have a sense of, you know, community as well. But even though they're still houses, but the point is, they have somewhere to sleep. They have a little bit more dignity. They can go on a job interview and, you know, be showered and have, you know.
The only thing I worry about with that is that sounds good and that's cool, but the only thing I worry about is the drug addiction that follows it.
Yeah.
So your $1,100, I can't just give it to you. And I hate to be like that, but if you have a history or rap sheet of drug use, then I don't, I want you to be clean. I want you to succeed. I don't want to make you in your dead.
Right.
Nobody wants to. I don't want to see that, and I see it every day, and I don't want to see that. So
and that it's I would think sometimes like a community like that, it sounds good, but if you say, okay, we've got 150 homeless people in that community that are trying to get better, now that community is going to get a stigma. What's your address? No, I'm not hiring you.
Yeah.
You're going to get into those prejudices and such.
I don't look at people's addresses when I hire people.
A lot of people do, though.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and a lot of companies now run credit checks.
Yeah.
So those things are becoming, more and more common
yeah.
in today's time. So it's like, how do you protect against that? And then the drug addiction thing. That's why I was like, give is the wrong word, but some sort of subsidy to where it's like.
Well, you could think about it as almost people that are on Section 8, you get a voucher.
Yeah.
You get a voucher. So here goes a voucher. Here goes this. And, we'll help you with this, that, and other. But then you have to put a timestamp on it. Because if I just keep giving it to you, oh, man.
Well, and that's where that whole
the first thing I think about, I'm sorry to cut you off. The first thing I think about, did you ever watch Chappelle's Show?
Oh, all the time, yeah.
Okay, so you remember the parody with when Chappelle played Tyrone the Crackhead?
Yeah.
Okay. But you remember the skit? You remember the skit where he moved in with his friends? They got him his real estate license, and then he sold the house. He kept the money, and then he threw a big crack party.
Yeah,
yeah. And he had a heart attack and everything, and it was badass. That's the first thing I think about.
But it's true, you gotta be careful.
You gotta be careful
because even like stuff like here in Texas we have I think they call it the Lone Star card.
Yeah,
that's the WIC and the food stamps and things of that nature. People sell that.
Yeah, people sell it. I've been approached in the store a few times.
Come on, man.
This hey man, the card has $300 on it. Give me $200. I'm like, dude, no.
That's your food.
No.
And so that's where it gets hard. That it's you're like, oh man. And I don't know if we were going to go the direction of universal basic income, that do we work with supermarkets, major supermarkets and things to where we say, okay, their actual photo ID, you have to scan your photo ID, and that's how you effectively pay. There's no separate card.
Well, this is what my buddy told me. He said that he lives outside the city limits of Houston, maybe like 45 minutes away, and he said he was in a Shell and Star card to buy fuel.
No, you're kidding.
I'm like, man, that's badass, man. You can buy fuel now. I mean, wow. So I guess she got a whole bunch of snacks, some fuel, and put it on a Lone Star card.
And this
now.
Yeah.
I don't know if he saw it was actual Lone Star card, or is that he's like, dude, I'm pretty sure it was. Because the guy told her that she can't use it, and she said she could.
And then it worked.
Yeah. So
that's one of the things that we talk about a lot, is that if you're on government subsistence programs, whatever it is, you should have to use it for necessities. Like, don't go spend $6 on this bag of chips.
Right.
You should have to use it for meat and vegetables and fruits and milk and clean water. Like, to me, and I'm you shouldn't be able to buy, like, someplace you can get alcohol and you can get beer and you can get and it's just like, oh man, there's got to be a better way to nourish people.
But go ahead.
I don't know your opinion, but we always have these discussions, and I feel like if you are receiving any kind of government assistance, just like if you're getting unemployment, like, you have to be actively pursuing work.
Right.
Actively pursuing work. You have to be a contributing member of society. You can't just, I'm just going to take the government's money, I'm going to pop out a bunch of kids, I'm going to do whatever the situation is. I think you should be contributing. What is your opinion?
No, yeah. I mean, that's a yes for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to contribute. I mean, you have to. You can't. I don't know what kind of to just not be productive and just not have a dream.
It's gotta be miserable.
It's got to be miserable.
Right.
It's got to be. But you know what? There's certain areas in Houston where this is the norm.
Yeah.
And people are conditioned to where this is just the way life is. They don't know anything outside of Houston.
Yeah.
They can't. They've never been on a vacation. They've never been on a trip. They've never seen a beach. This is, it's third ward.
Yeah.
It's fifth ward. It's
these 20 blocks.
These 20 blocks is my world. And they can't wait for the latest song to come out. That like that's the highlight of their.
And so this is one of the things that I always try to do, and I talked about this, and it was one of the things I had connections to some political figures and tried to get it up that chain, just didn't have enough time. Go in, take some of these major construction companies, do whatever, go into the Fifth Ward, which we know all that's already starting to get cleaned up now anyway. But just let's go old Fifth Ward, right? Yeah. Go into those types of communities that are underprivileged and labeled in all the bad ways, and say, you know what? We're giving you all the supplies, and we're bringing you all the experts, and we're going to build an amazing baseball field or 2 baseball fields or soccer field, something community-wise, and have the community actually build it with those tools and with the things, and they get to keep all the tools that they work with. Like it's literally a full donation from a construction company, and the community builds it. Yeah. Not we come in, the construction company, and build it for you and say, congratulations. Have them build it. Have a concession stands. Have all the things that you have in, high dollar Sugar Land. Have it marvel that one. Does that make sense?
Something to call your own, something that you help
it's build. Theirs. Right.
Yeah, it's yours.
And then, and you can always subsidize and provide umpires and provide uniforms and provide all these things to give the kids something to do and to work for. And I always felt like if you did something like that, you're giving value to the people who helped build it. It's theirs. They worked with their neighbors to build it. The likelihood of it being immediately trashed is almost extinguished. Yeah. Because it's theirs. They're gonna police it themselves. Right. They're gonna be like, no, no jerk off. Don't spray that shit on my fucking. I built that. I built that wall. Get that shit out of here. Like, oh fuck yourself. Like, they're gonna police it themselves.
They did it on Maine. They built. They didn't build, but they started a big garden. You can see it when you go on Maine. It's like some projects, and then it's a big garden. I made a couple of calls when I work on that side of town. We'll make calls over there. Yeah. But they're serious about that garden. It's like maybe 3 acres, maybe 2.5, 3 acres.
Still good size, man.
And they're serious. You don't drive on it. You don't touch it. It's theirs. That's
awesome.
That's what you're talking about. Yeah. They have value in it, and they hold it dear. So.
And here's all the things to do it, but you got to do it.
Right.
And we're going to help you do it.
Right.
And we're going to continue to,
That's right. Because if someone gave you a house, say here you go. You don't have to pay a mortgage on it. You don't have to pay property taxes. It's yours. Well, I mean, you give it to, let's say, a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
He's going to destroy it. But if you give that same 21-year-old and said, you're going to be under that bridge until you take the materials that I've given you to build this house. Dude, nobody's going to be able to mess with this guy's house.
Nobody.
Because he just, dude, it took too long. I mean, my hands are all calloused up. I'm not doing that again. Yeah. But that's the lessons that I think we miss. Everything's too easy. Yeah. Everything.
And I agree. And that's some of those things I just like to see. Because we did Jen Welter's thing, coaching on the corner for one of the Forestbrook Middle School, which is not one of the best schools in the area. It's underprivileged and all that other kind of stuff. And getting out there and just it was amazing because we spent she did it twice, I did it once. We were there a couple hours and just dealing with these kids, and then just the fact of them seeing, I come in and I'm not their demographic. Yeah. But I come in and I'm engaging with them and I'm joking with them, and I'm the big white dude with muscles, but I can run fast and I can jump and I can do all these things. And I'm talking with them on how to better themselves and to move forward. And these kids got cell phones, and I'm like, here's how you do a channel and you do live, and helping all those things and watching their energy just go through the freaking roof on them. Like their ambition just goes, and I'm like, we did that in an hour. Yeah. Like, holy crap. Yeah. We did obstacle courses and stuff. A blind girl had her seeing assistant's teacher help her do bear crawls, go over hurdles, blind, fully freaking blind. And I'm like, holy shit, dude, are you serious? Yeah. And feeling the pads and being able to go do and hitting stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, if in an hour with really extremely limited resources, right? Not a lot of money was spent on it, that a group of people can come together and do that. Why the hell do we have the problems we have?
I can go into my conspiracy tangent of why we do that, but you got to have. It's almost like you have to have your poor class. You have to.
I agree with that. You can have a poor class, but they don't have to be like that. You know what I'm saying? Like just kind of like.
You guys have to. It starts from the top down, and like we've seen with these kids, you could tell that by the look in their eyes. A high majority of them, I'm sure, when they go home, people are like, "How was your day? How was everything great?" Blah, blah, like us. I'm like, "Oh my God, I love you. You're so great." Blah, blah. They don't get that, right?
Yeah.
And so when you talk about, we talk a lot about being oppressed. I feel like sometimes a lot of people want to be oppressed. Right. They want to be able to say, "You wronged me. I need this. You owe me." They like coming from the bottom. They don't necessarily want to, because if I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to give you an opportunity," just like when you talk, to some of these homeless people, even, "I'm not going to give you money, but I'll give you a burger." No, I'm good. So
yeah, I get that.
"I've got a great opportunity for you. You just got to work 40 hours. Blah blah blah." No, I'm all set. Right?
I think.
So it's a matter of what is it that you really want to see?
I thought about Scary Movie.
Yeah.
You remember that? Yeah. You remember the sandwich at her head?
Yeah.
He goes. I said $1. Yeah. I thought about that. I'm sorry.
All right.
But there's, with
I agree with I agree 110%. You can't. I mean, it's like, man, work. Nah, dude. It sounds like a lot of work. Well, I got to do stuff. I got to read that.
It comes to this joke. This person's like, "Well, so basically, tell me about why you want this job, or whatever." And they're like, "I've just become really passionate about not starving to death."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. When asked, "What are your qualifications for this job?" I don't have any.
I just want to eat.
Dude, I love that.
Yeah.
Right? Because character is a big deal, as we know. There's some people that are willing to start mopping floors. Millennials are like, "I want to start up here."
No.
So nobody's willing to really put in that work anymore, I don't think. And they want to be fast. It's, "What have you done for me lately? I want it now. I want instant gratification." And you got it. You got a nice truck. I want that.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I had to do to get this.
Yeah.
No, I just want it. Right?
Well, I think a lot of companies are getting away from hiring kids with 4-year degrees, and they're hiring kids with vocational training and degrees, because they know how to do it right. You have a 4-year degree, but I still have to teach you everything.
Yeah. You don't learn anything at university.
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't.
And that was one thing we were talking about when we went to the convention that we just went to with Gary Vee and Robert Herjavec and all these things. And his whole deal is, he's like, "I didn't know shit. I didn't know anything about this first job I got. I had no qualifications, but somehow I got them to hire me. And the whole point is, I kind of said, like, you don't really need to go to school. Go to school." He's like, "But it's experience.
Yeah.
That's what got me this and got me this and got me this. Find your niche, get experience, and go." Like, fuck this 4-year degree shit. If you want to go, sure. If you want to spend the money, go for it.
Yeah.
The only reason he went back was because his dad forced him to. Otherwise, you see what I'm saying? Like, I think that's the point.
And when he went back to school, he was already successful, so it was a whole different dynamic. But yeah, and I know I have advanced degrees. I get that. But even in mine, I didn't really learn shit until the end.
Right.
At the very end, like all that general education stuff, and I'm like, oh,
it's a waste. It's a waste of time, and it's a fucking money grab.
Yeah.
It's how much money can I squeeze out of this guy, because I don't have to pay his debt. I don't have to worry about it.
Right.
So I'm just like, man,
my 2 cents on that is to basically eliminate the first 2.5 years of college for anyone. Take that abundance of resources, because people are paying it somehow, even if it's aid and all that kind of stuff. Dump that into the local school systems.
Right.
So now teachers are getting paid more, and let's educate them through that. You should, right? When you finish high school, you've gone through a boatload of education.
There's kids now that are graduating high school with associate degrees.
Well, yeah.
They have certain programs. I think that's so cool.
You can do that, because effectively, except for my advanced stuff, everything from my undergrad to graduate, I tested out of CLEPT and Dante's tests with the service and things of that nature, 50%.
Oh, really?
It was allowed. Just go self-study, take the test, score your 420 or 520 depending on what they need on it, done. And you get the college credit. And it's like a $200 rental. You rent the materials for a couple $100.
Yeah.
Done. Yeah, no tuition, no books, no. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man.
They have that for us. We have there's a list of schools that we can. It's tuition free, but it's they have I think A&M's on the list.
Yes.
I think A&M's on the list. I actually thought about it, but I'm just like, man,
But if you do it, you don't. This is my thing. You don't need the degree.
Right.
You just go take whatever you're interested in. Go take that class.
That's what I'm interested in.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Go hit the class. You know, one of the things, if you want to start doing podcasts or whatever, shit, go do a media class.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, you know what? And what's crazy is if you could pick that out of your curriculum, you know, for the reimbursement, or it's not even a reimbursement. It's just, I think it's a form you got to fill out, and you pick that and you just take the class.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
That's what I'm saying. Use it for what it is. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Don't be like, oh, I got to go get my degree.
Yeah.
Honestly, no one, including in the genetics field, has ever asked what my GPA is, or from a hiring perspective, where I went to school. They ask because they're, oh, where'd you go? I went, from just an inquisitive standpoint. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Well,
you do the job.
We get incentive pay.
Yeah.
For degrees and you know, your education and your certs and all that stuff. So I think the more certs that you have, the better off you are. But you kind of cap out on that.
Yeah, there's only so much you can get.
There's only so much you can get. Because I would just keep getting certs, stack them.
Kill it.
Cert stacker.
Yeah. All right. So I think we hit the hour mark. Yeah. So we're good, man. I appreciate it. That was fun.
No worries.
You started to relax a little bit and started to loosen up some of that towards the end.
Yeah.
That was good. I like that. Oh crap! Damn it. See, if I could drop the mic, I would drop the mic just for the emphasis purposes. But I appreciate it, man. Thanks, man.
No worries. Anytime.
Yeah.